Home DIY. I'm Christine, owner-curator of your Project Home DIY boxes. Let's get started with March's box. Inside, you're going to find all the contents you need to create this month's project. And instructions, and video instructions as well, which obviously you've found. So go ahead and unpack your box, unwrap everything. So that is everything we need to get started. I'm just gonna go step by step with you guys and allow you to stop between steps to finish each of them, and then I'll meet you again after each step is complete. So, very first step is just getting the boards painted because that's going to take the longest to dry. If you do have a heater, like a small space heater of some sort, that's great to use to set these up in on a corner like this, and it'll dry the surfaces really nicely and quickly. So if you do have a space heater, that helps dry those. If you are a new subscriber, welcome and thank you for joining us. In your box, you've also received a starter kit. So that includes a hot glue gun, sanding block, and the paintbrush. So you will need the paintbrush out of your starter kit, and possibly the sanding block if you choose to use it that way. So go ahead and grab those items and we will get ready to paint. So for the wood panel pieces, we're just going to paint them. This is pine wood, so just squirt a good amount of paint on it. And I'll show you some tips about painting pieces like this and holding it, because sometimes it's hard to figure out how to hold it and be able to paint all sides at one time. So I'll show you how to do that. I like to hold it like this and get majority of it painted. And then I'll stand it up on its edge to get the rest painted. And I will, even though that is the back side, I will continue and just paint the whole thing. And for this project, it's a little more industrial modern look that I'm going for. So I'm not really wanting the sheer paint lines or sanded edges or any of that look. So when you are painting, just make sure if you want that real industrial modern look to just keep smooth, crisp, nice lines and no paint lines showing through. See how I hold it by the top, this top grain of the wood, and I can even rub it and touch it like this? It soaks in paint really well. So you can actually touch things by the top and the bottom, so it won't show finger marks. If you touch the face of the wood, it will show finger marks. So just hold by the top and the bottom. So that's how you can paint all surfaces all at once. I'm going to set these in the dryer, paint this one, and meet you back for step number 2. Okay, step number 2, we're going to take and wrap around the wire to the top of the jars to hang onto the holder. So take your wire and you're going to need wire cutters. If you were a subscriber last month, you actually received wire cutters in your box. So go ahead and grab those. Mine look like this. So just an extra set of needle nose pliers. This wire is 12 gauge aluminum wire, so it's easy to move and manipulate. And it's in the color black. So just unravel some wire. And we're going to wrap wire around the top of the jar 3 times. And then make our loop to hang the jar from. So not too hard here, nice and clean. Again, going for that clean industrial look. So 3 or 4 times. And right here on the back of the jar, here's the one cut end. there's the one cut end right there. And then go ahead and cut the other end just about the same length as, so you have this kind of X in the back right there. And leave it like that. Do your other jar. Take the extra wire and make 2 hoop hangers out of it. So about like that length. Just a loop like this. And these ends will actually be curled under, so it'll go like this on the jar. And I'm going to just slide this inside of all the wires and just literally curl it right around, just like that. Super easy. We'll tighten it. Oops, and I did mine backwards, but just flip it around the other way. There we go. And stick this wire in behind all 4 of those, or 3 wires. And if you do longer, you could twist the wire up the hanger a little bit if you want that. If you want to do that. Okay, so right now it's really loose, but if you take those 2 ends, pull them really tight, and then crisscross them, kind of like a sandwich twist tie baggie, and then just flatten those, you'll have that look right there. And then just pinch these little guys. You can wrap them a tiny bit if you want. And there is one of the hangers. Quite simple, but just perfect little addition to the jar. Keeps it nice and clean. So just wrap that like a little sandwich twist tie, twist those around, and you have your sconce hanger. So go ahead and do that with your second one. And I'll meet you back for step number 3. Okay, step number 3 is just preparing the greenery for in the jars. Here's our prepared jars. They both have the hangers on them. And then we have the greenery pieces. So this little extra sprig here, these are actually called picks. And then a lot of them are called sprays. A bigger one is called a spray. So they're kind of, if you're looking for this kind of thing, it's called a pick or a spray. So this is actually called a boxwood pick. And I found it best if you take the pointy small one and wrap around the base of this bushier pick, just because it keeps them together for one. So I'm just going to wrap around that metal right there, and it kind of keeps it a little fuller piece. And then they just go in the jar. And you might find this is a little too long. If you want, you can trim the ends or just bend it over a tiny bit. I just bent that just a teeny tiny bit, just like that. So that one's good. And then I'm gonna wrap this one. Just gives it a little bit of height. You can also add, if you have greenery at home that you want to add to it, feel free to add anything you want. You could change these out, add little tiny Easter eggs, something fun for the holidays coming up, anything you like. There is the greenery in the jars. And that is finished, and I'll be back with step number 4. Okay, back with our finished and dried pieces of wood. We'll assemble our hardware and get those put on the blocks. So first take the flange piece and screw in this longer 2-inch piece, and then screw on the cap. Pretty simple. These are a little bit dirty, so be careful with touching the wood afterwards. You might leave little greasy fingerprints. So just wipe your hands off a little bit. These don't have to be screwed in all the way, just so they're kind of tight a little. And then take your board and the front face of it that you're going to be using, and these boards measure 5.5 inches, so halfway mark would be 2 3/4. So that's about where we're going to put the flange piece. So I'm going to just put my top screw right there in the center. Just make sure it's kind of straight. You don't want to have one looking crooked, but it will be okay too, because once you hang your floral piece on it, you'll be able to, it kind of covers up the center anyways. So 2 3/4, and about the same height down from the top. Make sure that's kind of the same distance. Looks pretty good. And take just a screwdriver and you'll screw those screws right into the board. Okay, so the hardware is mounted to the front. Let's mount the hardware, the hanging hardware, on the back. So if you hang it over the side of your table, you'll be able to avoid putting it face down on that hanger. Again, find center about 1.5 inches or so down. I'm going to bring this up here so you can see a little bit better. About that distance down. Doesn't really matter where you hang the hangers, just make sure they're the same. And put my screw right where I drew that line. Okay, so there's hanger number 1 on the back. And I'll work on hanger number 2. Okay, so hardware's on the front, hardware's applied on the back, and we are all finished with this project. So, once you hang this on your wall, you can hang it from any screw or anything like that. A fun little addition that you can add to these would be what's called fairy lights. They're little battery pack lights that you can hide in the bottom of this, and those would look super cute for the sconce look. Have a little bit more light to them. Also, one other bonus thing that you can do to the jars, and I did prepare one for you to see, is just add a white round painted bottom to it. So in order to do this, it's really simple, or you can do a different color. You could do black, you could do silver, you could do a rose gold. If you do a metallic color, I do suggest using spray paint. That would definitely work best. Metallic is really hard to paint onto glass, but spray paint will work really well for that. Metallic spray paint or any flat color, something that maybe accents your decor. If you're going to paint on the jars, the bottom chalk paint works really well on the glass. If you do use the matte paint that comes in your boxes, you may have to do a couple coats of it because you will have brush lines. It's not highly pigmented to go through onto a clear surface, but it can be done. It just might take a couple extra coats. But in order to do this, you just need masking tape, and tape up the bottom of your jar. So just tape up the bottom of the jar around about how much you want, and eyeball it, make sure it's kind of straight. Oops. You just go all the way around with that. And painting glass can be kind of tricky. The tape always doesn't stick to it very well, and you'll get leaks underneath. And when you paint it, make sure you're painting in a downward motion. If you pull up against the tape, you're going to get more paint up in the tape. So paint in a downward motion around, paint the whole surface. And then once you have done your coats and it looks clear and coated like you want and no brush lines, peel your tape off. If there are some lines where it leaked, just take an X-Acto blade and you can literally scratch off just a little bit where those lines that kind of leaked a little bit and clean up those edges and make them just right. So that's a little bonus you can do with your jars if you choose. If you do it this way and then you add the fairy lights in the bottom, that battery pack hides right in the bottom, put your stem back in, and you got a lighted sconce jar. So there is the final look. Thank you for joining me with Project Home DIY. I can't wait to create with you next month. Bye.